Marvel movies have it all. Massive set pieces, believable special effects, larger-than-life characters, and big mistakes that stick out like sore thumbs. Yeah, you heard that right. The MCU films are the closest things we have to superhero heaven. But they're not perfect. Still, it's those bloopers that prove just how funny the people behind the scenes putting these films together can be. And hey, if they're having fun behind the camera, then that's all the more reason why we have so much fun watching these movies in the theater. So, join Screen Rant as we go through these 25 unbelievable Marvel movie bloopers. 1. First up, it's Captain America: Civil War. During the airport fight, the flight-friendly superheroes engage in their own scuffle in the skies. Rhodey's suit gets deactivated by a shot from Vision, a shot intended for the Falcon. It sends him free-falling into the ground. Anthony Mackie as Falcon flies over to apologize, but it took him a couple tries to stick the landing. During one take, he fell and landed face first, causing Robert Downey Jr. to break, and making us break too. Hey, something had to lighten the mood after all this infighting. 2. Unlike Velociraptors, Captain America can't seem to open doors. He may have the mightiest shield around, but in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Chris Evans spent multiple takes trying to bust through a lock on a door. The edge of his shield wasn't cutting it, however. During these takes, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow stands behind him, unable to provide much assistance either. Apparently, they make locks stronger than vibranium. While they were eventually able to break through the door thanks to movie magic, this scene is a lesson that sometimes you should pack a pair of bolt cutters. 3. Captain America: Civil War's airport battle is one of the most well-realized superhero movie fights ever. Sadly, they couldn't correctly replicate it for Spider-Man: Homecoming. At the beginning of Homecoming, Peter Parker's vlog shows a recap of the battle. When Peter shows up in the footage, he says, "Hey everyone." Yet in Civil War, Tony Stark greets Peter first, saying, "Nice job, kid," before Peter responds. Thanks. With all of Marvel's meticulous planning, you'd think they'd have caught this mistake, but maybe Peter Parker edited the vlog before he posted it. 4. The Pym particles from Ant-Man are explained not once, but twice, as having the ability to shrink space between atoms. That's all well and good, and makes all the shrinking and enlarging that happens throughout Ant-Man seem believable. But if Ant-Man's tech isn't actually shrinking the atoms themselves, then we believe that they can't possibly be changing the mass of the items, no matter how small or large they become. Which means that Ant-Man couldn't have carried that tank in his pocket unless he wanted to rip a hole through his pants. 5. Much of the Guardians of the Galaxy's success is due to its soundtrack. One big mistake, though, is the cassette tape on which Star-Lord's awesome mix plays. His mom may have passed away in 1988, but the mixtapes she's given him are Type 2 CDing 2 TDK cassette tapes. That may not ring a bell to any of you non-tape experts out there, but this particular brand of cassette was not produced and sold until 1993. Let's assume this happened because someone time-traveled and made a copy. 6. Black Panther's Danai Gurira has achieved much success as of late, thanks to her MCU role as Okoye and her other famous role as Michonne in The Walking Dead. But those two big titles on her resume weren't enough to keep her from being upstaged by a goat. During filming, Black Panther's sidekick was given her own sidekick when a goat wandered into the frame. It's hard to control a goat, but hey, maybe we'll all look back in 20 years and say, wow, can you believe that world-famous goat got his start in Black Panther? Who'd have thunk it? 7. In the first Avengers film, the Battle of New York caused billions of dollars worth of damage to the Big Apple, and many lives were sadly lost. So a dent in a car shouldn't have that much of an impact in the grand scheme of things. At one point during the battle, Thor crouches behind this dented, overturned silver car. In the next shot, though, the car's dents are gone. And while it's still overturned, there doesn't appear to be any issues. The special effects team likely failed to remember to add damage to the car in subsequent shots. 8. Cobie Smulders has comedy chops, as we know from her stint as a lead on How I Met Your Mother. Yet her role as Agent Maria Hill doesn't often allow her to go for laughs. Except in this deleted moment where Maria Hill can't handle Agent Phil Coulson's death. With a "no" on par with Darth Vader's at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Smulders really goes for it here, threatening to get the Avengers to, avenge his death. And quick fun fact, this blooper was used for loading screens in the LEGO Marvel Avengers video game. 9. In another moment where the actors just can't seem to keep it together while the world falls apart around them, Benedict Wong couldn't seem to match his fellow actor's sense of gravitas. In Avengers Infinity War, when Stark, Banner, Doctor Strange, and Wong meet in the Sorcerer Supreme's headquarters as Thanos hovers over New York, the assembled heroes look out past the camera, sensing the full weight of the situation. But Wong just can't seem to keep a straight face. It's nice to see that even in the face of doom, some people maintain their sense of humor. 10. Gwyneth Paltrow's Pepper Potts can do anything. Not only is she Tony Stark's ever-supportive partner, she's also a Type A time management wizard. But is she a literal wizard as well? In the first Iron Man, Pepper is seen wearing a hands-free earpiece in her ear. Then in the following shot, there's no earpiece to be seen. Did she slip it away lightning fast? Did it fall out of her ear without her noticing? Or did Stark Industries create the kind of hands-free device that stores itself away when it's not needed? Our money's on that last option. 11. In a moment that was actually played for laughs, Captain America's educational school film in Spider-Man: Homecoming was one of the highlights of the movie. However, while filming this scene, Chris Evans couldn't take the situation for what it was and broke character. For some reason, Evans was unable to keep a straight face when saying to school children, the one thing that will give them an edge is a hot lunch. We have to admit there's something funny about the words hot lunch. At least it's funnier than a cold lunch. 12. Much like how in the Star Wars films, characters pronounce words differently. For instance, Lando says Han like hand instead of Han like Hans Gruber. Anyway, there was a time during the filming of Black Panther that no one could get a consensus on how to pronounce Wakanda. Both Martin Freeman and Denai Guerrera in particular had some trouble saying the country's name right, which is especially embarrassing since they should both know how to say the name of the place they spend so much time inside. 13. Iron Man 3 is one of the more divisive big-budget films in the MCU, but hey, it took risks. One thing they might not have spent their money on, however, is presidential research. When a bullet ricochets off the Iron Patriot suit inside Air Force One, it blows through a window, which seems totally believable, except for the fact Air Force One's windows are built to be bulletproof. Perhaps the Iron Patriot's armor is so powerful the bullet's speed picks up after it hits it, sending it at a strong enough velocity to blow through that window. 14. Iron Man 3 got heat from some fans for certain storytelling decisions, specifically their Mandarin fake-out. But this particular blooper with Trevor Slattery, aka Not the Mandarin, is too good to ignore. Rhodes asks Slattery to do several different accents, and actor Ben Kingsley is given an excuse to stretch his vocal muscles. While he doesn't know where South Central is,
South Central, Tyler?
Where's that?
we get to see Kingsley do an Irish, Jamaican, French, and Spanish accent before they ask him to do British, which turns the conversation on its head.
Well, I am British.
15. In the first Iron Man, Captain America's shield makes a cameo appearance. At the time, it seemed like a nice little Easter egg, and it somehow didn't give away the twist of the post-credits scene, telling us Iron Man is the start of a shared universe. The inconsistency here is that during this time, Captain America is still buried under ice, frozen in the same spot since the end of Captain America: The First Avenger, made after Iron Man. Maybe this was just a prototype shield. 16. Captain America: The First Avenger had an even bigger problem with consistency, and that stems from its use, or rather misuse, of certain flags. First, when the British flag is shown hanging outside a building, it's hanging upside down. Elsewhere at the World Expo, the flag of the Bahamas can be seen. Unfortunately, this particular flag wasn't created until the 1970s, and the movie takes place in the 40s. We love the movie, but it doesn't have the same keen eye as, say, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 17. For a guy who can transform into a nearly indestructible green beast, Bruce Banner doesn't always have the stomach for violence, at least in his normal form. That's best shown in this cut blooper from the first Avengers. While filming a shot during the Battle of New York, where the Avengers look dramatically toward the foes ahead of them, Ruffalo just goes, "Dudes, you're on your own," and bolts down the street. Hey, even the Hulk has to listen to his fight-or-flight instincts. 18. Despite the many small mistakes, the first Avengers is still a milestone in blockbuster filmmaking. It's just a shame they let this blooper go by too. Toward the end of the movie, Captain America rides off on a motorcycle and a tight shot shows him smiling as he goes. No matter how fast that motorcycle may be moving, however, his hair stays in place. Either he's got a whole bunch of pomade holding it together, or he was just filming the scene in front of a green screen. 19. We live in an era where minor costume mistakes and continuity issues can be fixed with a quick computer touch-up, which makes these slip-ups all the more surprising. Take this one from Iron Man 2. Ivan Vanko lies on the ground and a trail of blood dribbles from his mouth. In the next shot, however, the blood trail disappears from Ivan's mouth. Did he swallow it? Did the cops surrounding him wipe the side of his mouth? What's the deal here? 20. As the voice of Jarvis, actor Paul Bettany must have gotten a lot of practice saying verbose lines and complex technical phrases. As Vision, though, Bettany has to say these lines in a tight costume, on set, with his fellow actors. And sometimes that makes it more difficult to keep from getting tongue-tied. To see Vision, a cool, calm, and composed character, lose his ability to speak clearly changes the way we view the character. At least for the time being. 21. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, you'd think that the coordinates of the Triskelion would be managed perfectly. Unfortunately, that's not the case. When the Triskelion is introduced on screen with fancy little text denoting the name of the structure and its location, the coordinates are listed incorrectly. Both the latitude and longitude for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s headquarters are given as north and south. The longitude should be east and west. Unless that was just S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to keep its location secret even to the on-screen viewers. 22. In Ant-Man, the hero does battle with Darren Cross. And towards the end of the final fight, Cross pulls a Glock to Ant-Man's head. So, Ant-Man summons ants to overtake the gun in Cross's hand. The ants block the gun's hammer, and Ant-Man is able to take the upper hand. The only problem is, Cross has been holding a Glock, which doesn't have a hammer accessible on the outside of the gun. In fact, the close-up on the gun's hammer is the only shot in this sequence where the hammer's visible. Whoops. 23. Tim and Eric are like walking bloopers in their own right. They embrace comedy that's quote-unquote terrible on purpose, and they do comedy in a way that takes certain people off guard. So, when Tim Heidecker served as a tour guide in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's probably right up much of the audience's alley, and perfect for a blooper reel. When the situation around Heidecker's character gets out of control, the actor rolls with it and riffs so hard we'd want to be stuck on a 3-hour tour with this guy in any city.
Goobleyer.
24. Speaking of riffing, if you cast Jeff Goldblum in a movie, you can be dang sure the guy's gonna riff to his heart's content. And in a movie like Thor Ragnarok, which is just full of improv and riffing, Jeff Goldblum goes wild. Sadly, much of his lines are on the cutting room floor, but that means there's more material on the blooper reel, including some on-point ear-wiggling and some beatboxing with Tom Hiddleston. 25. This one's an oldie, and a pre-MCU era blooper to boot. But it's still topical because Spider-Man's always a topic of conversation. He may not be in tip-top Tom Holland shape, but Tobey Maguire's awesome spider-like reflexes weren't yet honed enough to save his bedroom lamp from breaking during the scene when he first tries out his new web-slinging abilities. However, when we return to Peter Parker's room, the lamp's still there, undamaged. Either this is a blooper or Aunt May's crafting skills saved the day. So, have you seen all these bloopers and mistakes before? Are there others lurking in the background of the latest MCU films or hidden in the DVD menus of the newest releases that we've missed? Let us know in the comments section below, and join Screen Rant for more eagle-eyed videos just like this one. See you around, and Excelsior!